Hey, what's up, you guys? Last episode in this Cyber 101 series, we are going over defensive security, security solutions, and defensive security tooling. So, last week we did offensive, now we're diving into the defensive, and then we're going to go over some cybersecurity career stuff. So, let's dive in. Here we are, defensive security. So, defensive security. We learned offense, defend. Self-explanatory. Areas of defensive security. We went over this in the first ever video of this series, but we will go over it again. We have SOC, Security Operations Center, analyze logs and stuff like that, see attacks. Threat intelligence, analyzing cyber information, aka potential enemies, their tactics, techniques, things of that nature. Their little TTPs, if you will. Digital forensics and incident response. Digital forensics, investigating crimes digitally, going through files, metadata, investigation of someone's hard drive, things of that nature. Incident response, responding to an incident, self-explanatory. You have the phases: preparation, detection and analysis, containment, eradication and recovery, and post-incident activity. Malware analysis, what the name says, analyzing malware. Yeah. Now we are on SOC fundamentals, introduction to SOC. Like I said a few seconds ago, SOC, Security Operations Center, is a dedicated facility operated by a specialized security team. This team aims to continuously monitor an organization's network and resources to identify suspicious activity to prevent damage. Analyzing some logs, preventing cyber stuff. The main focus of a SOC team is to keep detection and response intact. As you saw from a few seconds ago, part of the incident response flow, if you could call it that. Continuous monitoring is required to detect and respond to a security incident. You have to detect vulnerabilities, unauthorized activity, policy violations, intrusion response, support with incident response, incident response plan. SOC, 3 pillars: people, process, and technology. As you can see here, people, process, and technology coexist in a SOC environment. A team of professional individuals working on state-of-the-art security tools and the presence of proper processes is what makes a mature SOC environment. On the flip side, people, process, and technology can also cause security incidents and prevent security incidents. So it's a balance between all three. And here we have people: CISO, SOC manager, SOC analyst level 1, level 2, level 3, security engineer, detection engineer. They are always the people who help the security solution to identify truly harmful activities and enable a prompt response. So people, you have data being dumped into your SIEM, and the people have to analyze them and make a decision based on a baseline or what you already know to make a decision on whether something is malicious activity or standard activity. Correlation, causation, baselines, log normalization, all that stuff kind of goes in, and then people have to make conclusions from that data. Just correlating from a baseline, pretty much. But yeah, the job roles. That went off topic, a little tangent, but yeah, job roles right here. Process. Alert triage. Whoop. Gonna be doing a lot of that as a SOC analyst. Let me tell you what. Who, what, where, when, and why. So, alert. Malware detected on host. What? A malicious file. When? The date. Where? George's PC. Who? George. Why? The file was downloaded from a pirated software selling website. The investigation with the user revealed that they downloaded the file as they wanted to use a software for free. And we have technology. SIEMs, EDRs, firewalls, which we're going to go over in a second. Now we have a little scenario introduction to SOC. You are a level 1 analyst of your organization's SOC team. You received an alert that a port scanning activity has been observed on one of the hosts in the network. You have access to the SIEM solution where you can see all the associated logs for the alert. You are tasked to view the logs individually and answer the question to the 5 W's given below. So, here, port scanning activity detected from IP 10.0.0.8. Acknowledge, investigate. Here, we see all the traffic. Boom, from Joe's PC. Here, hostname, Joe. Source hostname, Nessus. Log type, traffic, the date. Source range, private IP. Source IP, destination, going to. Source, destination port, of that nature. And it is not malicious, because according to this task, the vulnerability assessment team notified the SOC team that they were running port scan activity inside the network from the host, so not malicious. Now we are on digital forensics fundamentals. Forensics is the application of methods and procedures to investigate and solve crimes. The branch of forensics that investigates a cybercrime is known as digital forensics. Cybercrime is any criminal activity conducted on or using a digital device. So this is just the investigation of it. Then we have the digital forensics methodology. If you took Security Plus, you had to learn this. We have collection, examination, analysis, and reporting. Evidence acquisition, you need to have proper authorization to obtain the evidence, and chain of custody. It's a formal document containing all the details of the evidence, description of the evidence, name of the individuals, date and time, storage location, access times, things of that nature. And then we have some different forensics tools that you can utilize for disk and memory image acquisition. Disk image, data on the storage device, and memory image in the RAM, temporary. So we have FTK, Imager, Autopsy, Dump It, Volatility, things of that nature. So now we are doing a little practical of digital forensics. So we have some files in this directory here. It says when you create a text file, some metadata gets saved by the operating system, such as file creation date and last modification date. However, much information gets kept within the file's metadata when you use a more advanced editor such as MS Word. There are various ways to read file metadata. You might open them with the official viewfinder editor or use a suitable forensic tool. So for this one, we are using PDF info to extract the metadata related to a specific PDF. So we're here, we have the ransomletter.pdf. So we run PDF info ransomletter.pdf. We have the title, the subject, the author, the creator, if it's encrypted, things of that nature. So PDF info, author, and using EXIF tool, find out where the kidnappers took the image, and EXIF tool, exchangeable image file format, is standard for saving metadata to image files. So metadata and images. So for that, we do EXIF tool letter-image.jpg. And the coordinates, right here, GPS position. So you would copy that, put it in the Google. So you would copy that, but int, this is the format, removing the space between the number and the circle symbol. I don't know the technical name for that symbol. But yes, put that in here, paste and go. And here it is. We zoom in, Oak Street, right there. Now we are on incident response fundamentals. Kind of incidents, they're kind of like events that are happening. Some can be false positive. Some can be true positive, which means false positive, a security solution raised an alert, and it is expected and not malicious. True positive means usually security solution raised an alert, and it is actually malicious. So one is, usually, in simple terms. So we have types of incidents: malware, infection, security breaches, data leaks, insider attacks, denial of service, things of that nature. The incident response process, which usually we go by NIST, which is preparation, detection, and analysis, containment, eradication, and recovery, and post-incident activity. Which all of this is very good to know because you have to map the incident to the phases if an incident has occurred. So some security solutions, a SIEM collects logs, we talked about that earlier, antivirus, detects no malicious programs, and EDR, endpoint detection and response, is deployed on every system, protecting it against some advanced level threats. Yes. And then in incident response, we have little things called playbook, which are step-by-step instructions on what to do if there's an incident. And then the run books are the detailed step-by-step execution of the specific steps during different incidents. That sentence is a tongue twister. The detailed step-by-step execution of specific steps. Yes, run book. Then we have this lab. Incident response. There's an incident. There's a phishing email. The name of the malicious email sender. J. Johnson. Well, that's the email. J. Johnson. The name, Jeff Johnson. Payslip, PDF. Malware. Click. I'm going to click it. I'm going to download it. Malware. We investigate. Malware detected. Isolate it. We're going to view the process timeline. So, to explain the process timeline, which you're going to see this a lot in EDRs and things of that nature. So, we have Explore EXE, initiates an action that involves Chrome. The user downloaded the file from Chrome, payslip.pdf, the PDF executed. It triggers PowerShell, likely to perform hidden task. Executed, performs a malicious DNS query. potentially reaching out to a malicious domain to communicate with a C2, but that would just be my theory. We don't know for sure until we really deeply investigate it, but that's just kind of little explanation on what could be happening. And then we have log fundamentals. Logs, kind of just like recaps of processes that are happening on a computer, or recaps of an incident, or can show an incident that is actively happening, depending on the logs. Use cases of logs: security events monitoring, incident investigation, and forensics. Use case of logs: security events monitoring, incident investigation and forensics, troubleshooting, performance monitoring, and auditing and compliance. Yay, auditing and compliance. Types of logs. We have system logs, security logs, application logs, audit logs, network logs, access logs. So tons of logs. Like for example, security logs, authentication events, authorization events, security policy change events, things of that nature. Okay, event log analysis. While this is loading up, we have application logs, dealing with applications, system logs, dealing with the operating system, security, dealing with security related activities, such as user authentication, changes in user accounts, security policy changes, etc. So this is what I kind of like, called the event viewer. Here you have your little logs here. Here we click on security. Here are the security logs. An account was successfully logged on. And here we have actions. And here if you click, you can see more details. The security ID, account name, account domain, logon ID, things of that nature. And here are some event IDs. Very useful. You can filter it by event ID. So for this practical, it says, on Friday, a critical organization reported being a victim of a cyber attack. Upon investigation, critical data was exfiltrated from a file server in the organization's network. The security team was successful in determining the username and IP address of the compromised system in the network, which had access to the file server at the time of the attack. You are tasked to find out the activities of the attacker in the compromised system before he took access to the file server. So we go here, event viewer. We go to Windows logs, security. And here we have all the security logs. We go to filter current log, and we put in the event ID we are looking for, which is a user account was created, because it's the name of the last user account created. So 4720. Okay. Boom. Click. Details. Target username hacked. Subject username administrator. The date 6/7/2024. So that is kind of the gist of Windows event logs. Now we are on security solutions. Introduction to SIEMs. Woo! Like we've said before, security SIEM, like we have said previously, security information and event management system, collects data from various endpoints/network devices across the network, stores them at a centralized place, and performs correlation on them. We have network visibility through a SIEM. We have the router, we have data servers, we have the internet. We have the workstations. All of this is being ingested into a SIEM for a single pane of glass view on your entire infrastructure and any events that may be happening. We have host-centric log sources that capture events that occurred within or related to the host. Network-centric log sources and network-related logs are generated when hosts communicate with each other or access the internet to visit a website. Yeah, self-explanatory. So, we have log sources and log ingestion. Event viewer, which we just went over. Linux logs, usually store them in var/log. HTTP, cron, authlog, secure, and kern. Kernel-related events. An example of a cron log. Web server, varlog Apache or varlog. Varlog Apache or varlog HTTPD. Example of Apache log. Log ingestion. We have the agent/forwarder. The agent is usually installed on the endpoint. Syslog, collecting data from various systems. Manually upload it, or port forwarding, configured to listen on a certain port. So various methods to get your data into a SIEM. So we have the dashboard, shows graphically, you can customize this, the most important events that you want to see when you first log on. And then correlation rules are pretty much logical expressions set to be triggered. For example, if a user gets 5 failed logon attempts in 10 seconds, raise an alert. To that nature. Now we have firewall fundamentals. Firewall, wanted traffic, blocked, allow traffic, going outbound to the internet, unwanted traffic inbound into your network, blocked, outbound and inbound, we're gonna go over in a second. But yeah, basically allow or deny traffic based on ACLs, which we'll also go over in a second. So, types of firewalls. We have stateless, stateful inspection, next-gen, and proxy firewalls. And here, a little chart, like example, stateless, basic filtering, no track of previous connections, efficient for high-speed networks. Next-gen provides advanced threat protection, comes with an intrusion prevention system, identify anomalies based on heuristic analysis, and decrypts and inspects SSL/TLS data packets, which I would go with next-gen, but it all depends on your infrastructure and your security needs. Rules in firewalls, which I was talking about, the access control list. Usually they have a default deny rule at the bottom, which is denying traffic, allowing traffic. This is kind of what the rule looks like. Action allow source destination any for 80 outbound. So this will allow all the outgoing traffic from our network for port 80 internet. Destination any, all outgoing traffic. And forwarding redirects traffic to a different network segment using the forwarding rules created by firewalls. Directional rules. Incoming, outgoing. Inbound, outbound. Out, in. Pretty self-explanatory. IDS fundamentals. What is IDS? You may ask. One prevents intrusion prevention, which is actually taking action, when one detects, which is just alerting you, but you have to take your own action. See, IDS does not act on those detections. It only notifies the security administrators about the malicious activity. So when IDS sits behind a firewall in a network architecture. Types of IDS. Host, network, kind of similar to what we just talked about. Host, installed individually on the host. Network, identifying malicious activities within a network. MIDS, HIDS. And we have Snort, which is an IDS. Uses signature-based and anomaly-based detections. Signature-based, known signatures. Which signature-based, each attack has a unique pattern. The signatures are preserved by the IDS in their databases. So if the same attack happens in the future, it gets detected in its signature and is reported to the security administrators for action. Anomaly-based, learns the normal behavior, the baseline, then detects it based off an anomaly. Hybrid, combo of both. Then Snort has different modes, packet sniffer, packet logging, and NIDS mode. So, we have a practical. You are a third-party forensic investigator. A company contacts you to investigate a recent attack on their network. They handed over a PCAP file named Intro to IDS PCAP, which contained the network traffic captured during the attack. Your task is to run Snort on the PCAP file and answer the questions given in the task. Yay! So, got to change into that directory and run a PCAP analysis command. And this would be the PCAP analysis command right here. So you'd copy and paste that, edit it to the .pcap file, and then run it. So we are in the Snort directory. Yay. Have the PCAP file here. So the command we do is the same command that we just highlighted a few seconds ago. What is the IP address of the machine that tried to connect to the subject using SSH? Connection detected, and this is the IP. And the SID that detects SSH is right here. So that was just Snort analyzing a PCAP file. Now, we have vulnerability scanner overview. What are vulnerabilities? Security weaknesses. A vulnerability. The process of fixing them is patching. Now, to find vulnerabilities, you do vulnerability scanning, which is just scanning a host or a network for vulnerabilities to find their weaknesses. And we have authenticated versus unauthenticated scan. Authenticated, the creds of the subject host must be provided. Unauthenticated does not require the host creds, it only needs the IP. Authenticated identifies the vulnerabilities that can be exploited by attackers having access to the host. Unauthenticated identifies vulnerabilities that can be exploited by an external attacker having no access. So authenticated kind of more so in depth because you are kind of from an internal perspective, and unauthenticated more so externally in an external perspective, so less resource intensive and straightforward. So unauthenticated, for example, scanning a public-facing website for vulns. Authenticated, scanning an internal database by providing its credentials. So yeah. Internal scans versus external scans, kind of explanatory, conducted from inside the network and conducted from outside the network. Tools for vulnerability scanning. We have Nessus, which I like very much. We have Qualys. We have Nextpose. We have OpenVAS, which is open source. Yeah, they all just kind of out a good old vulnerability report for you. Then we have CVE and CVSS, which I did a Try Hack Me video about that earlier. I'll link it if you want to check it out. But CVE stands for Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures. This is kind of like an identifier for a vulnerability, the year, and the ID number. CVSS stands for the scoring of those CVEs. You have low, medium, high, critical, and then you have a qualitative score range right there. And you have OpenVAS, which we talked about a few seconds ago. Right here, we have a dashboard, task by severity, task by status, and VTs by severity class, so kind of vulnerabilities. Here, we have setting up a scan, naming it, putting in the targets, just configuring the scan, things of that nature. New target, putting in the IP, Windows machine. You can do discovery scan, full, and fast ultimate, just different scanning modes here. And then we have the scan, my first scan. And then we have the severity. This one's a 4.3 medium. Then we have reports, total 1. Here's a little report, results 3. And here are the vulnerabilities. You have them ranked by severity, the hosts, which is the one we inputted, obviously, the location, and the time generated. And now we are on defensive security tooling, going onward to CyberChef, which CyberChef very useful in CTFs. CyberChef is a simple, intuitive, web-based application designed to help with various cyber operation tasks within your web browser. Swiss Army knife for data. Tasks range from encodings like XDR or base64 to complex operations like AES encryption or RSA decryption. CyberChef. Click the link, and you can run it offline or locally by downloading the release file from that link. So, we have operations area. Plain text to base64, turning plain text from base64 to hex, from hex to hex dump, from hex dump, URL decode, that nature. Recipe. You can define and fine-tune these arguments. Input. Where you input your text. Output. Decrypts the text. Whatever you need to do, outputs it. So, doing a little example. What is the URL decoded value for this percent encoded URL? So, CyberChef. You can click on URL decode and operations, or just copy and paste it in there and it will automatically detect. Inputted. There's the decoded URL. Very useful for CTFs. And now we have CAPA. Common Analysis Platform for Artifacts is a tool developed by the FireEye Mandiant team. It is designed to identify the capabilities present in an executable file, like portable executables, ELF binaries, .NET, modules, shellcode, and even sandbox reports. It does so by analyzing the file and applying a set of rules that describe common behaviors, allowing it to determine what the program is capable of doing, such as network communication, file manipulation, process injection, and many more. Yay! Used in malware analysis and threat hunting. So, CAPA. Just run CAPA or CAPA.exe. This is running it on something called cryptbot.ben. So, this is kind of output. We have the MD5 SHA-1, SHA-256, analysis, static, OS, Windows, format, and path. And we have attack techniques mapped to MITRE, defense evasion, discovery, execution, impact, persistence, obfuscated files or information, command and scripting interpreter PowerShell, and this is the ID that kind of goes with the attack technique for MITRE. We have the category, malware category launcher, which we have launchers and downloaders. Launchers, the malware is usually like launching a process per se. The malware is kind of like launching a process. Downloader, it's kind of like downloading something from somewhere else. So that's that in simple terms. We have the MBC objective and the MBC behavior, which is kind of like a reminder. MBC, the malware behavior catalog, open source malware analysis tools map their output to MBC and attack. We have CAPA right there. And we have the capability, reference anti-VM strings, the namespace, things of that nature. It's kind of like a high-level overview of the results. So for example, we have anti-behavioral analysis, capture evasion, the objectives, anti-behavioral analysis, attack techniques none, anti-analysis type evasion, version, things of that. Capture evasion, which the characteristics enabling it to evade capture from the affected system. Encrypted payloads, we have the ID, the decryption key is stored external to the executable or never touches the disk. We have use in malware. So we have example of different malware. then we have references. So yeah, very interesting. If you want to dive deeper, check out TryHackMe and check out the MBC project. Now we are on Remnux, another thing for analyzing potentially malicious software, using the Remux VM, starting up the VM. So the Remux VM is a specialized Linux distro. It already includes tools such as Vitality, Yara, Wireshark, OliDump, and inetsim. It also provides a sandbox-like environment for dissecting potentially malicious software without risking your primary system. So lots of good tools included in this VM. But today, we are just going over inetsim. inetsim simulates various internet services and protocols in a lab environment. So can just emulate services such as DNS, HTTP, things like that, to kind of emulate what a malware would do with those services and interact with those services. It provides fake versions of real services, so you can kind of what the malware will behave like without risking anything. So, practical. We have the VM, and we are starting the attack box. So, first, we have to configure the tool inetsim inside our Remnux VM. So, we are in the Remnux VM. We have the term, the IP address up here. We need to change the config file. And term stands for terminal. Okay, file. Run. We're finding DNS default IP right here. Get rid of the comments. And then put the IP of the box, which is .19.17. Cool. Exit. Yes, enter. Now, we do sudo inetsim and simulation running. Then we go to our attack box, open up a web browser, go to this address, warning, advanced, accept, and this is the default HTML page for inetsim HTTP server fake mode. Yay. So we have all that set up. Now, let's do the practical. Download and scan the file name flag.txt from the terminal using this command, what is the flag? So we're downloading it from the inetsim server on our attack box. So open up a terminal, paste that in there, enter, we downloaded it, flag.txt saved. Now we go here, we cancel this. Now we have a report written to log report 1965.txt. Oh, and as you can see here, flag.txt. So we do this command, copy, we do this, let's change the report number, 1965, boom. And here, first simulated date and log file, HTTPS connection, method get, URL, the URL, file name, sample.html, and then we have the get request URL, flag.txt right here. Yeah. We're on FlareVM, or Forensics Logic Analysis. Reverse engineering stands out as a comprehensive and carefully curated collection of specialized tools uniquely designed to meet the specific needs of reverse engineers, malware analysts, incident responders, forensic investigators, and penetration testers. Yay. Crafted by the Flare team at FireEye is a powerful aid in unveiling digital mysteries, gaining insight into malware behavior, and delving into complex details within executables. So we're starting the FlareVM arsenal of tools for reverse engineering and debugging, disassemblers and decompilers, static and dynamic analysis, forensics and incident response, network analysis, file analysis, scripting and automations, and sysinternal suite. Commonly used tools for investigation. We have Procmon, helpful tool for tracking system activity. Process Explorer allows you to see the process of parent-child relationships. DLL's loaded and its path. Wireshark, observing and investigating network traffic, things of that nature. For this demo, we will be going over PE Studio. Static analysis, or studying executable file properties without running any files, is done in PE Studio. PE Studio offers a variety of information about a file without putting users in danger of execution, which aids in identifying executables that seem suspect or harmful. So, we have the suspicious file, windows.exe, and we're going to analyze it via PE Studio. Open PE Studio, drag and drop a file to analyze, open up sample, windows.exe, dragged in there, and here we are. We have the MD5 SHA-86 description. It's supposed to be regedit, file type executable. But if we go here, comments, Russian language, file description, regedit. Things are not matching up. It says legitimate regedit tools are usually found in the Windows System 32 directory rather than the user's download location. So that just doesn't match up. And the Russian language is suspicious, primarily if the user organization does not operate in a Russian-speaking environment. And then we have some indicators here. The address of the entry point is suspicious. The file execution privilege has been found. The original name of the file has been detected. Then right here is the original file name, which just is obviously suspicious. Then the functions tab, these are the API calls that the executable has imported. So this kind of shows how it will behave or may behave if it is executed. Here we have an X, set, use, shell, execute. And this is for the executable to use the operating system's shell to execute other processes, which is suspicious given the context of this executable. All about context, I'll tell you what. Now we are on Build Your Cybersecurity Career, Security Principles, learn about the security triad and common security models and principles. So this kind of goes over extremely important security principles. Learn them, please. Important. We're going to go over the most basic one. CIA triad, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So this kind of makes up security as a whole. And when you judge the security of a system, you judge it by, does it provide confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data and resources? Confidentiality ensures that only the intended persons or recipients can access the data. Integrity aims to ensure that data cannot be altered. Moreover, we can detect if any alteration occurs. Availability aims to ensure that the system or service is available when needed. So, one hotel is stressing that the internet over its Wi-Fi network must be accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Which security pillar is the hotel requiring? Availability. Two companies are negotiating a certain agreement. However, they want to keep the details of the agreement secret. Confidentiality. Some of them. Defense in depth is a big one. Creating a security system of multiple levels. Hence, it is called multi-layered security. Kind of onions. That's a Shrek reference. Zero trust but verify. Zero trust. Big buzzword these days. Everyone's talking about it. Trust but verify, the principle teaches that we should always verify even when we trust an instance behavior. Zero trust. The principle treats trust as a vulnerability and consequently it caters to insider-related threats. Trust does not grant trust to a trusted device based on its location or ownership. Microsegmentation is one of the implementations used for zero trust. So yeah, even if it's trusted, quote unquote, it's not trusted. Now we have careers in cyber. Different careers you can do. Security analyst, log, security engineer, tweaking the systems that output the logs. Incident responder, responding to incidents. Digital forensics examiner. Malware analyst, penetration tester. Teamer, penetration tester. Red teamers share similarities to penetration testers with a more targeted job role. Penetration testers look to uncover many vulnerabilities across the system to keep cyber defense in good standing, while red teamers are enacted to test the company's detection and response capabilities. So, penetration tester, uncover vulnerabilities, looking for them. Red teamers, testing the company's detection and response. So kind of similar, kind of different. In extremely simple terms. So yeah, now all of the job roles that you can do in cyber. And there's a lot more, but these are just some of the basics. Now we have training impact on teams. Discover the impact of training on teams and organizations. Cybersecurity training, extremely important. Humans are the #1 vulnerability in any organization. Yes, very important. The main reason is that it prepares the team to handle what will come their way instead of learning new concepts, techniques, and tools in the middle of a cyber attack. They have come prepared. Training your team, your employees, tabletops, have a good incident response plan, make sure you're all in compliance. Very fun. I love tabletops, but that's just the nerd in me coming out. Cybersecurity training for large organizations. It says Try Hack Me enables this via Content Studio. The feature allows you to modify or even create modules based on your organization's training needs and priorities. Such customization increases the efficiency of your users' training. Large corporations don't want a standalone solution, but need to integrate it into their existing software landscape. Vendor selection for your cyber training. Who are you buying the training for? What are the experience, background, role, and topics relevant to your employees? Has the vendor experience with similar organizations? Questions to consider. The importance of training at the company level. Training. True team. Very important. Humans, number one vulnerability. Training your team, and also training your customers, training your clients. Don't click on that phishing link. Maybe don't download that PDF. Training all around. Super important. So that is the end of Try Hack Me Cybersecurity 101 learning path. Yay! Thank you, Try Hack Me, for letting me walk through it. It was very fun. And also a good refresher, because everyone needs a refresher now and then. And it was a very good one. Very comprehensive. Really hit all the points. And a little more. So, very good. I would definitely recommend it 10 out of 10, honestly. Thank you guys for coming along the journey. Like, subscribe, punch that notification bell, whatever you need to do. And I will see you in the next video.